Okay, I've turned the mic on. This is a mic check to make sure the audio levels are okay. I'm going to try playing a virtual tour audio clip that I need to play during this one, so I want to make sure that this audio is about the same level too. So here it comes.
Sprinkler system, basement rec room 2007. Kitchen cupboards and floor 2007. Chimney liner 2009.
So the question is that audio level about the same as me talking right now?
Insulated and hydro. Great starter. Come and see it today.
That's the sample of the audio again. Again, this is me talking into the microphone. Okay, so I think we're going to get things underway. I'm going to start with a couple housekeeping notes. First off, the seminar is part of our ongoing Spotlight seminar series, which we're putting on for at least the next couple of months. If you want to register for any upcoming seminars, you can register at spotlight.century21.ca/seminars. A lot of you are probably watching from that site right now. You can just scroll down. There should be a register now button. You can even register for seminars that aren't scheduled yet. Simply select register for all seminars, including future seminars, when you register. Once you've registered, we'll notify you when new seminars are scheduled, and we'll also send you reminders about your registered seminars the day before and the hour before the live seminar. If you ever want to unregister from any of the seminars, please just let us know and we can take you off the list. So my name's Linus Kilius, and I'm in charge of business development here at Homania. We're the company that runs the Spotlight program, and I'm going to be the presenter today and for all the seminars in this series. Just a couple of quick notes. If you're watching this live, we do have a live seminar chat that is available if you're watching this directly on YouTube. If you're watching this through our Spotlight website and you want to participate in the chat, you'll have to click on the YouTube link, which should be just below this video stream that you're watching now, to get to the page with the live seminar chat. In order to participate in the chat, you're going to have to be signed into your Google or YouTube account. Just please keep the chat cordial and remember that this isn't the outlet for customer service issues. If you have any of those kind of questions, please just defer those to our support desk at support@homania.com. The final slide in this presentation will have the email as well as a phone number that you can always call us at. The chat is intended for questions for the presenter, and I'm going to try and keep track and answer them at the end if we have time. The questions we're going to field at the end of the seminar will be those that we deem are relevant to the audience. If you have any hyper-specific questions that are more for your specific situation or your listings, again, the best place is to direct them to support@homania.com. If we don't get to them, I can always contact you after the seminar concludes, and we'll answer your questions then. So also a little tip, this video is best watched in high definition. YouTube on a lot of platforms will actually automatically downgrade the quality of your stream to save on bandwidth. So if you're in a web browser, the easiest way to change this is you can boost the quality of your stream by hovering over the video with your cursor. A little gear icon should show up in the bottom right of the video stream, and you can select 1080 or 720p for your quality settings. Either of those should be adequate. If you're watching this on your phone or tablet, there should be a similar way of adjusting the quality of the stream. Just one thing to note, especially if you're on a cell phone, you'll only want to upgrade the video quality of your stream if you've got a reliable internet connection. If you're not on Wi-Fi, if you're on a cellular network and you notice there's any sort of stuttering to the video or anything, you can always try downgrading the quality, and that might help fix the issue. Okay, so now that the housekeeping is over, let's get this officially underway. So hello everyone, and welcome to our second seminar in the Spotlight Seminar Series, Getting the Most Out of Spotlight. This seminar is going to delve a little deeper into some of the tips and tricks that can really help agents get more out of the Spotlight program. This is a great seminar for anyone who's planning on ordering a Spotlight marketing package in the future or has any active Spotlight listings. But if you're new to the Spotlight program and you're not really familiar with the program, I definitely suggest first watching our seminar that we did last week entitled Introduction to Spotlight. That seminar goes over the basics of the program. This seminar here assumes that you've got a base level familiarity with the program. So if you do need to go back and watch that other one first, just remember you can always come back and watch a seminar at a later time. It will be available for viewing within about 24 hours of the live seminar concluding. So let's start the seminar. Basically what I'm going to try doing here is giving you some tips and tricks. So let's start with the first tip. You can use Spotlight to help get you listings. This is one thing that agents often overlook, and it's the fact that you can really leverage the Spotlight program before you even have a listing in the program. One of the biggest strengths of Spotlight is how it can help you snag clients in a listing presentation. The listing presentation is all about showing the prospective seller why you are better equipped than other agents to sell their home. You've got this great marketing program in Spotlight that you're going to use for their listing, so you better flaunt the fact. We give you some key tools to do this. If you go to this website at the bottom of the screen here, just spotlight.century21.ca/marketing-materials, we've got a bunch of resources. Just a quick note about this specific marketing materials website. it's important to write down this web address. There's no easy way to find it from our main website, and that's by design. We don't want to make it too easy for the public to access it. Here, so I'll just jump over and I'll actually show you the site here and a couple things that I want to highlight. So this is spotlight.century21.ca/marketing material. And remember, you can't get to this by clicking on anything on the main web page. So just, again, write down that website if you have a second. But the one thing I specifically want to draw your attention to at first is this right here. It's our sample listing presentation slides with talking points. I've already queued it up, so let's just get into it here. So this is actually a live document that we've created of a listing presentation that you can use to beef up your listing presentation. You can take some of the information, you can take all of the information, you can copy and paste slides directly into your own listing presentation. You can even modify these slides to suit your specific needs. Also at the bottom too here, you might have to drag it up when you first view it, but we've got speaker notes at the bottom for each of the slides, so you can it gives you some tips on the slides that are viewable, so you can speak knowledgeably about each slide that you're looking at. Just a quick little tip too, if you click on File, Download As, you can download this to your computer so you have a local copy in PowerPoint, PDF, etc. formats. So if you download it's say in PowerPoint format, you can actually modify the slides yourself. You can slot it into your own PowerPoint presentations and make modifications there. So when you have a chance, definitely review this listing presentation. It's got a lot of information, and I'm not going to go into a lot of the details here. But I do want to highlight a couple of quick slides that are key for the listing presentation in particular. One of the most important slides is this one here, and it shows you that this program is available only to Century 21 agents. This gives you a very distinct competitive advantage. If you can really sell your prospective seller on this program and they realize that they can't turn to that next agent who's presenting after you and get them to provide the same service, you've suddenly created this demand in your service that you're providing. This strongly tips the seller's decision-making process in your favor. The next slide that I want to show you here too is this one here. It's probably our most requested slide in the listing presentation. This is the online advertising slide, and we used to call it syndication, but we actually found that advertising is a more effective term. Advertising is more of a universal term, and it doesn't have the same negative stigma that syndication sometimes has. So it's something that pretty much all the populace would understand. So this is an impressive slide, and it shows the client that you're going to be putting their listing everywhere on the web and advertising it all over the place. It's a very comprehensive list that has all the major players on the web. Showing this will really impress your client. Then finally, the last thing I want to show you before we move on to the next kind of tips is that Spotlight is a proven marketing solution. We've actually got some statistics that we've gathered for you that hit on three key areas that you can really show your clients. So you show them you're not just blowing smoke, you actually have weight to your words. The first is that there's less of a chance of a pricing reduction prior to sell when using the Spotlight program. Spotlight listings spend less time on the market. And most importantly, the Spotlight program puts more money in your seller's pocket by selling the home for more money. If you look at the numbers here, they're not that insignificant either. $6,300 on a $500,000 listing, which obviously should scale to the approximate price of the home you're presenting at. This doesn't just look good on paper. This additional money that you're putting in your seller's pocket also gives you leverage to negotiate a favorable commission as well. So again, that's just the basics. As I mentioned before, please take a look at this listing presentation when you've got time. Look at it in depth and try and figure out the best way to integrate it into your listing presentation to the greatest effect. So I'm going to be going into more depth into this listing presentation in a future seminar in a couple of weeks. It's actually on March the 16th. It's a Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you're interested, just make sure you register for that seminar. Website again that I was showing you earlier. If you scroll down a little bit further, you'll notice that there's this section here where this can help you provide a live sample listing with your branding for your listing presentation. If you don't have an active listing in our system to show off to your client, this is a good way to show a live example of the web page that you're going to be providing. So to use this little widget here, you simply select your real estate board, you put in your board ID, and you select a package configuration that you're planning on presenting to your client. What it'll do is it'll give you this link right here. You can click on that link, and I'll show you one here with an actual agent's information in it. And what it'll do is it'll present a sample page with your agent information along the bottom. So pictures, name, phone numbers, email addresses, etc. So it looks like you've got an active listing, and it's a lot more professional than just showing kind of like a one without branding. So this is a very powerful tool. And by the way, if you put your information into this section here, your section here, you click on this link and your branding doesn't appear, it'll actually show Joe Agent. It's likely because you're not in our system or your real estate board ID isn't in our system. So just shoot us a quick email and we can make sure we fix that up to get you in our system so you can take advantage of this feature. Okay, going back into the presentation. So now we've covered how we can help you get a listing. Now let's assume that you have one or you expect to have one soon. There are a ton of tips that you can follow to help optimize the performance of your listing throughout this program. They're not hard, and it mostly just involves a little advanced planning and organization. So that's the big first tip here, is just to use a little advanced planning and organization. I just want to be clear that our program is great regardless of whether or not you follow any of these suggestions. However, a little more effort on your part and attention to detail can really make a difference in the final product. So where does planning ahead help? So I'm assuming most of you know that a fresh listing gets a lot more attention than a stale one. But I'm not sure if you realize the extent of this. Here are a few graphs showing some page view statistics for 3 random listings for their first 2 weeks on the market. These are just from last month. All 3 of these listings had over 300 to 600 views approximately in their first 24 hours. But then those views drop off drastically to about 20 to 40 views per day after a few days. That's a massive drop off that really highlights how important it is to make sure you really optimize your leads capture right off the bat. So why am I showing you this? It's really because I want to highlight this problem that I see often. You'd be amazed how many agents really just rush to the market. How many times have you seen a fresh listing on MLS without photos, just like this one on the right here? We see it all the time where an agent will order one of our marketing packages for a listing after it's already on the market. We don't mind if you do that, but that means that it's going to be on the market for a day or two, perhaps even more, without photos. Or maybe just a front photo of the house that you snapped with your cell phone or your camera as a placeholder. Now, I don't know the statistics on leads conversion, but I can tell you with a pretty high degree of certainty that those potentially hundreds of viewers that have come across your listing without decent pictures of the home, they're not going to check back in a couple of days. They've already lost interest and moved on. You've suddenly lost out on a ton of viewership, likely losing out on buyers in the process. Now, I understand there's a lot of pressure from clients sometimes that forces your hand, but if you can explain the need to launch properly and why it's important, I'm sure that you can convince your client to wait a few extra days. Waiting an extra couple of days can be the big difference between multiple offers and a listing that sits on the market for months. So that leads to my next big tip. Minimize stress, order early. Order our marketing package a few days in advance, even a week in advance or more if you can. While we can get things up and running in a much shorter time frames, you're going to find it a lot less stressful if the time frame is extended. There might be a snowstorm on the day of the scheduled photo shoot, causing the photography to be canceled, or the client may not be able to get the home ready in time for photography, causing a delay in the photography as well. There's a million things out of anyone's control that can go wrong. In my experience, the agents that have more breathing room are less stressed and are much, much more pleasurable to deal with because of it. If you can plan on having everything up and online at least a couple days before it hits the market, not only will it alleviate that stress, giving you time to account for the unexpected, but it'll also give Google more time and opportunity to properly index your site for search. Please, 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 don't get caught with your pants down the first day on the market. So you've taken your time, you've got the photographs, you're ready to broker load with photos to make sure that you capture that initial surge of interest that I've been mentioning before when your listing's on the market for the first couple of days. When you broker load, though, remember it's not just about the photographs. You've paid for all this technology and media, you really need to flaunt it. Make sure you submit the virtual tour link and alternate feature sheet link when you load your listing as well. We send you these links along with your photo download links, just for your reference. This is very important, especially because of how Realtor.ca works. Realtor.ca updates only once a day from the information from the board. If you load your listing and you don't get a virtual tour and alternate feature sheet link loaded right away, you might actually miss that daily update to Realtor.ca. And what that means is that you're going to be waiting an additional 24 hours until the next update of Realtor.ca to get your links properly showing up on Realtor.ca. And I already showed you how important those first 24 hours are. So the virtual tour link is pretty self-explanatory as to what it is, but one link that many people don't use or you might not have recognized before is the alternate feature sheet URL or alternate feature sheet link. Most boards have a field for this in the broker loading form online. You really should use this, and what you do is you put your website of your listing in here. So whatever it is, your 123youngstreet.com, for example. And by the way, for those wondering, it can be fully branded. So if you're on a board that requires an unbranded version of the virtual tour, you don't have to worry about that here. You can use a branded version in the alternate feature sheet, and we definitely suggest you do so. So this link, what it does is it goes onto Realtor.ca as a banner ad that reads something similar to like Realtor's listing webpage. This additional visibility will help drive more traffic to this great listing webpage that we provided for you, which is obviously very important when you're trying to differentiate yourself from the marketplace. So just so you know, at Spotlight, we actually do verify that we verify every listing to make sure that all the links and photos, including this virtual tour and alternate feature sheet link, have properly been uploaded to the board and ultimately appear on Realtor.ca. So we'll follow up with you if they haven't been properly loaded, just to make sure that your listing is properly set up on the web. So let's assume that you've followed my advice. You've ordered your marketing package at least a few days in advance. One of the first things you should work with your client on is getting your home ready for photography, which I'm sure a lot of you already do. We've actually got a great resource for this. On spotlight.century21.ca/marketing material, that page I showed you before, there's a handy guide on how to prepare your home for photography. So let me just jump back to that page that I showed you before. This is, again, the marketing material page. There's preparing your home for photography client handout. So if you click on that, and I've actually got it open already, we've got this great checklist of a bunch of different points on, and you can give this to your client, and it should just gives them kind of an easy way to categorize what they need to do to prepare their home for photography. It not only makes the home more presentable going over this checklist with your client, but it also puts a little bit more accountability on your client. If they don't take their car to the driveway before the photo shoot, they can't complain to you. It's not because you forgot to tell them that they should. And most of the time when we have to send a photographer back to a listing for a reshoot, it's specifically because of something like this. It's something that could be easily avoidable, like a car in the driveway. And there's nothing more stressful than having clients that are unhappy with the photos because there's something that they should have done, especially if the home went on the market yesterday. Yet another reason to organize photography well in advance to account for situations like this. But again, if they follow this checklist, you won't have to worry about it. Okay, so jumping back into the presentation. So while your clients are busy preparing the home for photography and you're putting together your listing information for broker loading, please, please, please take the time to write a proper listing description of the home. Agents have been really conditioned by real estate boards to create shorthand blurbs that are barely longer than a Twitter message. These length restrictions lead to an abbreviated form of English. I like to call it MLS English, as you can see on the left there. I've got a random sample of this, just a listing description I pulled off MLS. And I mean, this is fine for MLS purposes, and it works great for MLS, but in reality, it can be greatly improved upon. For Spotlight, about 95% of the agents don't send us a listing description. Most have us take this kind of listing description straight off of MLS. One thing you need to remember is that we don't have the same restrictions on length as MLS. So you can send us a listing description written in proper English. And not only does this look a lot better, but it presents a lot better too. And it also gives Google also gives priority to websites with content that's written properly. So by providing something in proper English, you can actually get a boost in Google search as well. Not only that, we've also generated unique content for the listing webpage. Google also gives a boost to the search for sites with unique content as well. All other sites that have access to your listing data, by the way, they're going to be showing the MLS description. But the Spotlight page, if it has a proper English description, it has differentiated content. And again, this is going to help boost the listing's rank in Google. Also, if you don't send us your listing description in advance, we won't have any material to use to record the audio voiceover for the virtual tour. Once your photos are taken, what we do is we generate a virtual tour. But if we don't have the voiceover audio recorded yet, because we don't have a listing description, we generate a temporary virtual tour without the audio voiceover. Because this video is temporary, we hold off on posting it to some of our advertising partners until the finalized version of the video is published. There's a very important reason for that. I'm not going to get into the specifics, but suffice it to say that posting early with some of our advertising partners can lead to broken YouTube links, notably on Facebook and Kijiji. So making sure you get that well in advance can avoid this issue altogether. We definitely suggest submitting a listing description at least 24 hours in advance of your listing going prior to market, so we have a chance to record the audio and update the virtual tour. This will ensure that the audio is recorded and ready to go well in advance of hitting the market. So the other effect of sending us a proper listing description is that it helps boost the quality of your virtual tour. So as you know by now, because I just mentioned it, we record an audio voiceover for your listing's virtual tour based on the listing description you provide. Not only does a proper English narrative present better, but it also helps qualify your listing's virtual tour for an advanced feature that we offer. It's called Audio Sync. If your listing description is of certain quality, you can request that we sync the listing audio to match the video of the virtual tour. This is no additional cost, and this really enhances the quality of the virtual tour's final product. While we don't provide it by default, it is available on request. And the reason for this is that because the vast majority of listing descriptions that we process aren't really in a suitable format that allows for us to properly sync the audio and video. What we're really looking for is a listing description that has a sentence or two about all the major areas of the home, not a shorthand list of features in MLS English. If you provide us with a listing description in this format, we can make a virtual tour flow properly with the audio. So it's always hard to kind of explain this, so why don't I show you an example? So I'm going to try and put the audio on here. Hopefully this will work. I'm going to skip the beginning of the audio of the virtual tour, by the way, just because the beginning of the virtual tour for an audio synced versus a non-audio synced virtual tour can be very similar. I'm just going to show you a few seconds of the video so you can kind of get an idea. Oops. Okay. So here we go.
Newer 3-piece and basement, metal roof 2008, sprinkler system, basement rec room 2007, kitchen cupboards and floor 2007, chimney liner 2009.
Okay, so you basically get the idea there. You kind of tend to get these like long lists of features, or things don't really sync very well. So when you get something like that, you just can't really make it sync up to the listing pictures with the audio. That's why we're looking for something that's a little bit more robust in terms of listing description in order to make it qualify for this audio sync feature. So here I'm going to show you one with audio sync on. Here, and again, I'm going to skip the beginning. Let's just go somewhere in the middle here.
Floor.
Here you go.
A combined dining living room with gleaming hardwood floors and 9-foot ceilings, centrally located on the main floor. A 2-piece powder room and garage access flank one side of the main floor. On the other side, an eat-in kitchen near the rear of the home, with a walkout to a landscaped yard. The kitchen boasts beautiful granite counters, glass and marble backsplash.
Okay, now from that you can get the idea. The audio lines really sync up well with the video, resulting in a really professional and higher quality final product. It's definitely worth the extra effort to provide a listing description that qualifies. Just remember that you need to request this feature, as I mentioned before. We don't provide this by default for all the reasons I've already explained. So just going over how you can produce a listing description that qualifies for audio sync. There isn't any sort of set requirement, but here are kind of 4 key things to remember. The first bit is that you want 1 or 2 sentences about each room or area of the home. We might not be able to use them all in the video depending on the length of the listing description you provide, but that way we can segment a sentence or 2 for each kind of frame of the video. Number 2 is try avoid long lists of features that aren't tied to a specific room, similar to that list of features I showed you in the previous video without the audio sync. It'd be very difficult to find photos that would line up with a lot of features, and it just doesn't really flow very well. Number 3 is try and keep your sentences isolated into a single room or area of the home. If a single sentence describes multiple rooms, it can lead to difficulty in the syncing process. And finally, you don't need much. You don't need to give us a novel. Just try reading your listing description over to yourself before you submit it to us. Make sure it's around like 1.5 to the 2-minute mark, and usually that works pretty well in terms of length. Also remember that if you request a custom virtual tour of this audio sync, it might take slightly longer to process the final product. Not a terrible amount longer, but just slightly longer. As it takes more time, it's a little bit more labor intensive. Okay, so now you've got a great listing website. It's broker loaded, it's public. There's gonna be a boatload of people visiting it to see your listing. The listing looks great. The virtual tour is amazing. It's got audio sync. Then the prospective lead who's coming to the site is thinking, hey, this is a pretty good presentation of this listing. Maybe I should get this agent to see if they're willing to sell my home. So what do? They look at the bottom of the page for the agent contact information. This is where you don't want to lose the lead. Many agents that use Spotlight have contact information that looks like this. Name, office phone number, and that's it. Not exceptionally impressive or very professional looking. And this can be rectified very easily. All you have to do is send us a quick email with your information. You can really boost your agent profile. It looks something more like this. Send us your photo if we don't have it already, websites, emails, cell phone numbers, social media links. It really does make you look a lot more professional. After all, don't forget, you're not just selling the home or trying to sell the home with your listing webpage, but you're also trying to sell yourself. You can use your listing to create more business and get more leads. And looking professional will certainly help your case. So the other added benefit of putting all your information here, specifically the website address and social media accounts, is that it'll give you additional backlinks to these resources, making those pages more discoverable and ultimately boosting their search performance on Google search. So there's a couple other things you can actually do as well. A lot of people don't know about this, but you can boost your profile even further by supplying us with a short bio write-up or even a bio video like the one on the right here, if you have one. When someone clicks on that About Agent section that you see right here, About Aaron in this case, this information will appear, giving the prospective lead more resources that boost your case to be their agent when they want to sell their home. So the final tip I'm going to go over today is with regards to social media. I'm going to be covering this topic in much more detail during our social media seminar, which is on March the 30th. But I've got a quick tip or two here that will really help you out, just kind of as a starting point. So as you all probably know, we post your listing on our social media accounts for the major social media networks. We put a lot of time into promoting these social media accounts that we run. And while they do drive a lot of traffic to your website and look really good on paper, if you really want to leverage social media, I strongly suggest sharing your listing on your own social media networks. Your own social media network is, and I really hate using this term, but it's part of your sphere of influence. These are the people that you know personally and that are connected to you. Most of the people on your networks, they're your friends and probably hope you succeed in life in general. If they see you put up a listing, you're a lot more likely to get comments, reshares, likes, and tweets. And you'd be surprised how even a small social circle can create a post that snowballs. I've seen listings with over 1,000 page views from Facebook alone. You don't have to post to all these social media networks. Just post the ones that you're active in. Even if you've only got 20 friends on Facebook, maybe you've got an aunt that knows a guy looking for a home just like the one you listed. Or maybe your nephew likes the landscaping and shares a listing to a social network. And maybe that same nephew happens to have like 300 friends fresh out of college, all looking for new homes. Social media is a powerful tool that snowballs quickly, and not many agents have figured it out. In a lot of ways, it's kind of like free advertising and free exposure, so you'd really be crazy not to leverage it. So hopefully now you can see how a little planning and organization can really help boost your listing's performance. Everything I said here today takes very little time and should really be employed by every agent using our program. Following very small tips like these ones that I've outlined today, are the kinds of things that separate a good real estate agent from a great one. So that concludes the prepared portion of the seminar. I can now open the floor to any questions you may have. I see there aren't any questions currently in chat, but if you do have one, I'll be keeping this post online for about a minute to field your questions. Just a reminder, we're only going to answer general questions. Anything specific to like your specific case or one of your listings, we can answer those after we finish publicly recording this seminar. And if there's a chance that we don't get to your question because we deem it too specific, you can just send it to support@homania.com or give us a call. The phone number's up on the screen right now. Or I can also just contact you afterwards with the answer to your question. So we'll give it a minute here to see if there's any questions, and if not, we're going to end the seminar. Okay, it seems like nothing's appearing right off the bat. So if anything does come up, I can just answer it personally. So thank you again for coming and viewing the seminar today. Don't forget, you can always register for future seminars at spotlight.century21.ca/seminars. Have a great day.